All right, welcome to the final. Well, that's the final. So welcome to chapter 23, the ISIS paper discussion. Chapter titled "The Crisis in Black Male Female Relationships. Is it a false problem?" And I guess getting started. I guess we can all take turns answering that question, and then maybe summarize the chapter. Maybe just tell what you got from it, what you gained from it. Anyone want to start?
I'll go first. Black male, black female relationships. So this is a very good chapter. I feel like this is one of the chapters I can just, give to people to read, and they would definitely be able to take something from it. Is it a false problem? That's a good question. I think we'll by the end of this discussion, we'll all have an idea of whether or not it is. But me personally, I think a lot of the things she was saying in this chapter resonated with me. Things that I've noticed, and things that confirmed a lot of things for me. Yeah. So it was a very good chapter, and I think it's a very huge topic of discussion. So, and she's talking about this in '85, and I think it definitely resembles like today's today.
Yeah, it was a really important chapter, and for me to summarize it, I think it gives to why to the first paragraph from 275, and I think I want to read it. And she says, "Disenchantment with the institution of marriage, disharmony, disrespect, separation, divorce, single female-headed households, the norm, the absence of male models for the developing black male children and youth, epidemic levels of teenage pregnancy, thousands of children abandoned to foster care and adoption, black male bisexuality to homosexuality, black female bisexuality and homosexuality, increasing members of black females with more education and income than their black male counterparts, hardly any black persons knowing 5 happy black couples." And I think growing up, I never seen any black couples that I come to really like ponder that reality. Like, did I really ever see any like healthy so-called black relationships? And that question is definitely like no, I did not. And that's part of the reason why the situation is as dire as it is, and as it is right now, I think. Yeah, but that's my
Yeah, I think it's a real problem because it's been manufactured. It's a problem that was created by Western society, which could be dissected as being racist and white supremacy, the system of racist white supremacist culture that manufactured these problems between black men and black women, or black males and black females. I also have that part highlighted because to me that those are the problems that create these divides, and all of these problems stem from like racism, white supremacy. I'm pretty sure 4,000 years ago or so, a black human being or a person with high melanin wasn't calling his woman like a bitch as a partner. Like I'll go on Facebook and I hear people say that's my bitch, meaning that's my girlfriend, that's my nigga. I die for my nigga, that's my partner. So you have bitches and you have niggas as being like partners now. And I wrote in my notes, if niggas knew about white supremacy, they wouldn't be niggas. And if bitches knew about white supremacy, they wouldn't be bitches. Um,
Down.
That was amazingly put. That was a great quote, actually. Definitely coined that.
Yeah, I gotta clip that. But does anyone want to continue the summarization and
Exactly why I'm here.
question?
Yeah, for me, I really enjoyed that chapter. It was, for every time that she mentioned the different statement of like disharmony, disenchantment, it was just like shame, because I saw it throughout. I seen that growing up. I never saw like a functional Black couple unless it was on TV, which was My Wife and Kids, which I knew was made up regardless. Literally My Wife and Kids. And maybe, okay, this is one example of something. Okay, this is summary. I felt like it was highly informative. I felt like it's the most obvious, yet it's the most obvious, but yet unidentified and somebody, like, no one has spent time articulating it and researching it like this. Like, and I was really grateful to that such a chapter ever exists. Like, I was really grateful that the communication between Black women and Black males are being observed through this lens, as opposed to 10 ways to get your man, or how to think like a man. Like, all those different observations never ever looked at the fact that we are working from a level of dysfunction that's actively happening above us. And thank you, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, for all of the last couple of chapters, but especially this one, because it's one that deeply embeds within our self-image. It's one of the first things that we think about in terms of when they talk about your partner or this or that. It's the relationship between a Black woman and Black male is literally the way that the world will either heal or be destroyed.
Yes, thank you, Mary. That was great. Everybody, that was all great. Everything was great. Yeah, I wanted to add to what Mary was saying. Yeah, I think it was the first time I've actually seen something constructive about Black relationships in a long time. Yeah, great.
Yeah, I like this chapter a lot. I liked the way that she kind of, like what Mary was saying, it's not like how to manipulate a Black man to make him want you, or like that kind of language. It's really about understanding how systems of like white supremacy cause, dysfunction between Black men and Black women, and how to actually like come up with like a code of how to treat each other and like respect each other. So yeah, I enjoyed this chapter.
Does anyone have anything they want to share from the chapter? Any notes?
Yeah, on page 277, I interpreted this as like one of the problems and tragedies that we have right now, and it's the reason why these problems persist. Black men and Black women, and it's quite simple. People are just unaware of like the real boogeyman. People would think Black men are like these terroristic, womanizing, horrible individuals, instead of a system that we are living in, which creates these monstrosities. So you have it, and it's on page 277. It says, failure to analyze the white supremacy dynamic deeply is a tragedy, because this dynamic is a fundamental cause of the failed relationships between Black males and Black females. It prevented marriages of Black males and Black females during American slavery, and it currently separates the Black male and the Black female for 11 months out of each year in South Africa. The same white supremacy dynamic has kept Nelson and Winnie Mandela apart for 20 years. So this is So to me, it's so important reading this because you get to see the examples of how white supremacy removes the functionality aspect of black female and black male relationships. And fast forward today, we have like black man, like just the 90% of the prison population is black people. And these black people have been separated from their families because they're incarcerated. And like this system is just evolving and evolving. And if black men are being separated from their families via being incarcerated, they're just murdered, you know, and then it's filmed. And then it's, you know, given to us on social media, and then we can buy t-shirts about it, you know, so we advertise dead people's faces. But yeah, it's just a really, really unnecessary thing that we have to experience. But because so many people are confused, no one's saying my relationship is failing because one, I'm not working on a problem, and two, because this relationship is supposed to fail. It's not supposed to exist in the system.
Yeah, I agree. And I want to also read and comment on what you said. And this is on 276. And she says, when the underlying dynamic is exposed, analyzed, and understood, it is possible to remedy the symptom, false problem. Only then can short-term and long-term tactics be developed. When the underlying cause is discovered, addressed, and neutralized, the false problem begins to wither away. If we are successful in finding the true cause of alienation and neutralizing that cause, then black male, black female alienation will yield true harmony. So once we understand that racism and white supremacy is like the root of all our stress, and we're taking that stress out on our partners and relationships, or we're expecting too little or too much from our partners due to racism and white supremacy, and our unawareness to how it has affected us and affects our daily lives 24/7. So once, I feel like she's saying, once black people are aware of racism and white supremacy and they understand that it's their responsibility to end this problem, and it's gonna take black couples to do this, it's gonna take black relationships to do this, is what she's saying. And so far a lot of people are so unaware of that. Becoming like, it's I think I've expressed it quite clearly.
I wanted to add, because hearing you guys talk about it really put it in the context for me. I think reading it last night, maybe I wasn't digesting it as well, but I think this is why it's important to come to stuff like this. I want to read this quote on 276. It says, amongst many other horrible things, the system of white minority rule in South Africa legally enforces prolonged separation of the black male and the black female, causing fragmentation of black family life. Similarly, under the American slavery system, a phase in the establishment of the white supremacy dynamic, black males and black females were forbidden by law to marry and stabilize their relationship. So while she was kind of saying this, she said apartheid keeps, South Africa, black African families from seeing each other. I couldn't really see it, but I think I don't know why I couldn't see it, but now I understand, being in prison and stuff, being away from your family for such long periods of time doesn't really allow you to build a stable relationship or create a harmonious family. And it's crazy how we have prisons and in America, and that's basically its goal, some of its goal. And I don't think people are kind of talking about that enough, and really putting it into context, how it's really preventing black families from thriving, because
it's also preventing black males and black females from getting together and being together, forming constructive relationships, because the black males are all getting locked away, are imprisoned, or ended up homeless, and the black females are like not having many options when it comes to finding black males due to this war against them.
Yeah, it just gets me thinking. Like, I think people really are focused on like the wrong like they're really complaining about like stuff that is like the false problem. Like she's saying, you know, like that, like especially like on social media and things, you know, which is basically the narrative for pop culture, but nobody's talking about how like nobody's talking about it.
So I just had this thought, you know, like they have the tabloids, like white supremacy has these tabloids where like they're always talking about so and so's relationship and like how it's doing and like, oh, like are these people gonna split? No relationship in the history of people has been like the total focus of white people than a relationship between black and white people. I mean, between black females and black males. And I just want to back that up by reading this part. And she says, this very same dynamic with its many variations depending upon the particular geographic location and its more highly refined forms exists worldwide wherever and whenever whites have come into contact with people who possess the genetic potential to produce melanin in their skin. So wherever white people go, they disrupt the relationships between melanated folks. And you know, I think like the tabloids is like a subconscious manifestation that they're always focused on the black male and female relationship because they're always trying to destroy it, separate it, you know, always making fun of the black male, other like niggerizing the black male and creating this false narrative of a superhero black woman who could do it all and like save the world. And is this making sense? Am I making sense just now?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
I wanted to add to that. You brought up how black men are treated. I just wanted to read kind of why that's the case. So I'm gonna read from 277 and I'm gonna skip down. Because whites fear white genetic annihilation and because only males can initiate sexual intercourse forcefully. During slavery, black males were oppressed more harshly than black females. This pattern of greater pressure on the non-white male historic and continues. This explains why black males are victimized harshly by police brutality and arrest, and also illuminates why they're victimized most harshly by the educational system. Because of their extreme victimization in these two areas, black males have the highest levels of unemployment and underemployment, the highest rates of prison incarceration, the highest incidence of school failure and school dropout rates, the highest incidence of alcoholism, the highest rates of drug use and addiction, the highest homicide rates, the most rapidly increasing suicide rate, and the shortest lifespan. Also, the black male most often finds himself outside of the black family structure and the epidemic condition of homelessness. And like I could attest to these things. Like I definitely had a very extremely rigorous schooling program, meaning that it was abundant in violence, being physically abused by my white teachers, like being choked, drowned, and thrown across classrooms, and all types of horrendous incidences. At the time, did I know I was being abused because I was black? No, of course not. I just thought I was being abused because this was my, to me, it was
your normal, and like it reminds me of what Neely Fuller said. You know, it's like it's normal to see black people being kicked around. You know, and like even our young brain computers understood that because like I got thrown in this classroom and I was laughing about it. You know, because it's funny to watch black people get hurt, even if it's like yourself sometimes. It's such a
something.
Yeah, thank you for reading that. That's exactly why I would have read out on because this particular part, what it made me, it took me back in my mind, and of course that you think of your mind with the stereotypes, you think of the statistics, but like I had a personal experience. My cousin, I was maybe 14, 15 at the time, a bit younger. I want to say 14. He died at 19, or he died at 19 from liver failure, and he was homeless at the time, and they said it was alcoholism that did it. So when every checkbox was ticked, it was just like, I just felt really bad for him, and I sent a little prayer up for him, because from my memory of my observation, of course he couldn't like explain to my grandmother at the time, because he was in and out the house a lot, and he used to always like have like sweets, and he used to put one behind his back and tell me to guess which one is in which hand, and that was like our ritual every time he came. So like I always looked forward to that. He would come in time to watch Dragon Ball Z on TV, so I watched that with him. And then he used to eat and then go, but like when he started doing a lot of drugs, my grandma would be like, you're high, aren't you? And then he'll be chased out the house, to the point that he stopped coming to the house altogether. I was aware he was homeless. We was aware he was homeless, but couldn't get him to like live at any one of the family houses, because of course it was controlled where he wouldn't be able to have alcohol or drugs, from my understanding. And he died of liver failure, and I'd taken at such an early age. But of course, could he explain to my grandma, like, the world is stressing me out to the point that I need to take drugs, like, I'm choosing drugs because I don't know how to communicate this, or it's just really sad and really painful to see that cycle, and to have more of a blueprint and understanding that white supremacy is the reason why that is an actual statistic in my experience, or my cousin's experience. It's eye-opening, and it allows me to understand that we need to move more constructively as people, because because exactly that example, being able to recall in that example.
It's very tragic, and I want to get back to the why, because I always want, like, why is the black female relationship has such a high focus? And this is from 277. And it's because, she says, because whites fear genetic annihilation, and because only males can initiate sexual intercourse forcefully. During slavery, but black males were oppressed more harshly than black females. This pattern of greater pressure on the non-white male is historic and continues. This explains why black males are victimized harshly by police brutality and arrest, and also illuminates why they are victimized most harshly by the education system. So I know Trey read the rest of that, but so that's the why. This is why in the subconscious and conscious psyche of the white supremacy system, they have to separate the black male and black female, destroy the relationship totally, pin us against each other. It's like imagine like a chessboard, and like the black side starts attacking itself. It's possible to win if that's how you're playing chess.
Yeah, I agree. I wanted to add, because Trey read off the list, and reading this, it's clear that black men are being hunted, but the narrative, like, there's just narratives going around of black men being the weakest link or things like that. But clear when the author states all these things clearly, it's clear that they're being hunted. So people, especially like she says, black women, they need to understand the context of like how deep, the depth of white supremacy and the role it plays. She said a little bit earlier, failure to analyze the white supremacy dynamic deeply is a tragedy, because the dynamic is the fundamental cause of the failed relationships between black males and black females. And Ezra's kind of telling me about the that clubhouse thing you guys were in.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah, if you guys would care to share.
Yeah, they were
home.
No, we're talking about, like, we were like listening to like this other like some people talk about male patriarchy and how that's like the root of all problems for women, and like the world would be a happy place when there's when like there's equal power between men and women. Like racism is not real, and white supremacy isn't real, and they're just ignoring that entire reality. It's just a bunch of like it's just really unconstructive rhetoric and really a bunch of really confused people like who think male patriarchy. It's actually like white male supremacy. Yeah, you can say that, but the white woman is very complacent and is aware of what she has to gain from the system. So it's actually white supremacy, racism, white domination, whatever they want to call it. But those sort of groups and that kind of like feminist rhetoric is so dangerous, and it just so it erases the genocide and war happening against black males and black people, because
he told me how he said it was going a little well, and then she made a statement kind of like it's not my responsibility to help black men or something like that. I have to teach these white boys or something.
She said it's not her responsibility. She said it's not her responsibility to like help end racism. She said it's not like black people's responsibility to like help end racism or something along the lines. I think. Yeah. Like people like for some reason black people think white people are gonna end racism, which is never gonna happen.
I mean, isn't it our job to end racism and supremacy because it affects the most?
Yeah, it's like that's another logic. Many logical ways to look at it, but people are so trained to be like to not construct their debate. They really like focus on everything else but the root of the problem, because white people are scary to people. Apparently,
White people will never, ever in a million fucking white supremacy, their white power.
White people have had 400 years to do something about it, and where are we now? So I don't know what like non-white people and black people are expecting. White people, you've been given the examples. I don't know why you keep falling for it.
Yeah, it's like
sorry, but I brought that up just for my comment. I think that was just an example of a group being led by, because it sounds like black woman's the leader of that group or the moderator or something.
Yeah,
being led by a black woman, and because nobody in there, and her failure to analyze white supremacy, she's actually just dropping toxicity.
And confusion. No, it's just confusion. We should just call it like confusion, because it's like it's not constructive. No one in there's getting the truth, and it's just like like just a waste of time for everyone in there. TBH, it was wasting my time for even sharing the comments I did share, because it just hit a brick wall. So yeah, and like yeah, and
I also. We as black people need to stop glorifying the white people that do have some level of understanding and use their platforms to share. Like, I feel like it's more should be a put your money where your mouth is sort of thing.
Yeah, for real.
Yesterday I saw Chelsea Lately in an interview. I think it was Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man is actually the title of the show on YouTube. And she basically went into detail and explained how Nazi Germany definitely got their methods from how American South were treating their black people. So that in itself was like eye-opening for her. And like it felt good at the time, because I was like, oh, this blue-eyed, blonde-haired woman is talking like clearly and very well. Like there's nothing I can add at that point. But then I just thought that this is like, should she get points for this? I could see her getting happier and happier, the level of understanding, like how she was being received. And I was
that's
like,
what they want.
Does she deserve points for this? Should she now marry a black man? What is it? I don't know.
No, white people deserve no credit until racism has been ended. Period. They get no pat on the back. They get no thank you until racism is over. So no.
Yeah, I agree, and I also want to add, like, I don't get how adults could really sit in a room and talk about a book and not like not know about racism. I just don't believe it. I feel like even if you're white, you know about racism. If you're not white, you definitely know about racism. So these people are like literally lying to themselves and the people around them just by opening their mouths. I wish I was in that group. I wish I could have had opportunities to something. I would have been like, you're lying, and this is why you're lying.
Yeah, Trey. Like next time, man. Hopefully.
Yeah, I don't know how totally constructive this would be, but I'd like to just go in there.
Yeah, can I join or what?
Just, like, yeah.
Yeah, we have to do a conversion mission.
Yeah, let's make it constructive by like that being our recruiting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to read kind of like why they destabilize the unions between black males and black females. I'm going to like read this part on 279 that I thought really stood out to me. Stabilized union between the black male and the black female means the eventual end to white supremacy. Let's read that one more time. It feels so necessary. Stabilized union between the black male and the black female means the eventual end to white supremacy. When the black male and the black female simply define their joint struggle in terms of achieving education, housing, jobs, and money, rather than as specifically countering the global and local dynamic for white genetic survival, white supremacy, we are attempting to function with the wrong game manual and with all of the wrong rules. But we have remained confused, the global and local white collectives consciously and or unconsciously have mastered the white genetic survival strategies and all areas of life activity. Thus, we as blacks are being checkmated continuously by the local and global white collectives. We are victims of white supremacy, spend most of our time squabbling, struggling, and fighting with one another. Thus, matters go from bad to worse, especially in such critical areas as the black male and black female relationship, the very foundation of the black nation. Thus, matters go from bad to worse, especially in such critical areas as the black male, black female relationship, the very foundation of the black nation. So yeah, I also highlighted the second paragraph to read, but let's talk about this before we do that.
Yeah, like this is like, yeah, really. Thanks for reading that. Really important. But yeah, you keep sharing.
Yeah, I said when I read this, it made sense because like you see so much encouragement for black men and black women not to date. You see so much encouragement like when you are on a let's say you're on a dating app. Like the app is gonna show you an image of a black person and a non-black, non-white person. So you're gonna see a white person and a black person together, or you're gonna see the black guy with a Mexican or an Indian girl or like an Asian girl, or you're gonna see the black woman with a white guy, an Asian guy, or an Indian guy. So you're constantly seeing these images of black men and black women not in relationships with their own kind, and like you also see it in films. I remember I used to see Will Smith in a bunch of movies growing up, and all the movies I saw him in, the Wild Wild West, freaking Hitch. Let's talk about Hitch actually, because Hitch is a movie about a black guy connecting people to like find love. But his partner that he gets with is a non-black woman. And so you see on high levels of entertainment where like the norm is do not show black couples together, do not show black couples together, do not show black couples together. So it makes sense that if black men and black women got together, it will cause issues for white supremacy, because if a couple is working on code to solve a problem, it's probably gonna get solved, you know. Who knows, maybe one black couple could solve white supremacy. I don't know, because I don't know of any individual Black couples whose sole purpose is on combating and dismantling and ending white supremacy.
Dang. Yeah.
I'd like to say maybe mine is.
Yeah, Ezekiel?
No, I was just saying, I'd like to say hopefully mine is. Grayson right here, but she didn't hear that part about what Trey was saying about if he doesn't know if there's a couple out there, their sole mission to end white supremacy.
Yeah, like yeah. This is like really like profound and like necessary stuff. It makes total sense that like, you know, of course, you know, you need like, you know, the race to be together to end the problem. You know, you can't have all this friction, and like the most obvious friction is like, you know, the friction between like the male and the female. You know, like that's a huge like, you know, where no one's like, you know, there's not a lot of people who are like not coming together, but trying to be constructive about ending this problem and understanding that, you know, Black relationships, healthy Black relationships, and I wouldn't even call a Black relationship healthy unless like the mission is of that relationship is to work together to end white supremacy, or else, well, like what is the goal of that relationship? To make money, to get a lot of trinkets in life, to get a nice giant cell to live in and put all your trinkets in. Like, what is the purpose of living, you know, as a slave? So yeah, I'm really happy that she understood this and, you know, left this for us to, you know, practice. And I really gotta start practicing this, like these dynamics.
I agree. So, you know, all that's been said, you know, I was kind of, I don't know if she really kind of states, but she kind of, T78, I'm just going to read this. She says, this excessive and disproportionate pressure on the Black male by the global white supremacy system produces a grave imbalance between the Black male and the Black female, even though both are victimized by white supremacy. This imbalance has produced what some incorrectly call the Black matriarchy. However, this is not Black matriarchy, but white genetic survival necessity, and it's fear of the potential for genetic annihilation that the Black male represents. So I'm seeing like I feel like there's kind of like a large disconnect. I don't know how things are being so lost in translation as to how, you know, we have this issue going on, but it's seeming like it's Black matriarchy. I don't know how. I'm trying to comment on that. And I don't. I just want to say too before, I don't know if she really kind of even explains that. Like, I mean, I don't know if it was her job, but I don't know if she gives an explanation.
Yeah, she does, because we don't use history to learn from it. You know, we see white people destroying us for centuries, but black males are the biggest problem. You know, ghetto Black women are the biggest problem. What? When has a ghetto Black woman dropped a fucking bomb on a Black neighborhood? When has a angry Black man fucking went to a Black town and killed every Black person in there? You know, these are white people have been doing this. White people are the problem. White people have been destroying us. Their system of race and white supremacy. You know, but for some reason she said they mastered their system, and their system has like definitely like disjointed the so-called Black race to, like, you know, Black man and Black woman hate each other, despise each other, you know, look to harm each other, you know, have fun harming each other. And it's, you know, something that I hope can end, you know, within the next fucking 5 years, you know, 3 years, hopefully. Maybe, you know, right now, right this minute, if enough people become aware of like what's happening.
Yeah, I wanted to read this part on 279 that goes to what Spar just saying. This is what needs to happen before this problem to be solved. this is what needs to have happened before this problem can be solved. This is what needs to happen before this problem can be solved. Until now, we have attempted to function as united Black males and females, with no knowledge of exactly how the white supremacy dynamic must drive the Black male and the Black female apart. Therefore, we have failed in the past and will continue to fail in this relationship. If we understood white supremacy, the number one priority for each Black male and Black female would not be to reach out for one another with designs of dependency, love, lust, or marriage. Instead, we would seek to master specific patterns of perception, logic, thought, speech, action, and emotional response that would counter the white supremacy dynamic scientifically. We would codify such behaviors and practice them day and night. We will become single-minded in our activity, knowing that unless global and local white supremacy is attacked continuously and effectively, the Black male, Black female relationship has no chance of surviving. I'm not going to read the second sentence too of the following paragraphs. Mm-hmm. Black males and Black females will be in a continuous exchange of information, knowledge, and understanding, like true team members, about how to counter white supremacy more effectively. This quality of exchange can take place as much as we exchange phone numbers, jokes, dance steps, trivia, and all too many instances, drugs. There will be much less time to look into each other's eyes and become bored and then start quarreling and fighting. Instead, both persons will be looking outward beyond themselves to counter local and global white supremacy, which is the real problem, annihilating the Black collective. Actually, people grow closer together as long as they remain focused outwardly in the same direction. By maintaining a like-minded focus, Nelson and Winnie Mandela of South Africa have evolved possibly the strongest marriage known to Black people worldwide. They deserve recognition as a model for the Black male, Black female relationship. They are looking outward beyond themselves to fight white supremacy. By specifically fighting white supremacy, they prevent the force of injustice from driving them apart. When both the Black male and the Black female take up the struggle for justice against white supremacy, they are endowed with the strongest possible assurance that they will remain united. They are united in the common effort against justice, and simultaneously, they express the strongest possible statement about respect and love for themselves as individuals. In doing this, the Black male and Black female are declaring that they have conferred upon themselves the highest possible value, which is essential if there is to be self and group defense. So I only meant to read one in the paragraph, but all of that was just important to leave out. But yeah, if you're in a relationship with someone, you need to talk about what your goals are, and the goals we should be working towards ending racism, white supremacy for the future generations of our people, so they can have more fun on planet Earth, where they can have justified fun on planet Earth. We don't really get to enjoy the privileges of fun because we are born at war. Whether we know it or not, we're born soldiers, born warriors. If you're not born a soldier or warrior, you're born fodder, cannon fodder, someone who just, infantryman, the lowest of the lowest, sent to die, sent to be murdered and emasculated,
Yeah, I unfortunately agree with you in that on the terms of being sent to die. We're literally just a pawn, and you would be just a pawn in the chess game if you don't arm yourself or build yourself up to queenhood or knighthood, whichever. But for me, what you just read was highly important. When we had read over this particular part, when they expressed Winnie Mandela and Nelson Mandela's relationship and working towards a common goal, it's the same with any relationship. If you think about it, the ones that blossom, if you work productively together, it will lead somewhere. Like the friendships where you're only going like clubbing or raving, that has a time and place, clubbing or raving, but the friends that you basically build together, you can ask personal questions about your own personal growth with. That's the ones that stand the test of time, you know what I mean? Not the party friends, if that makes sense. And that's the same in a relationship. If a relationship doesn't have like goal orientation, or support each other's goals, or have a common goal, or some form of like-mindedness, you either drift apart or it causes friction. What I took away from this chapter is not paying attention to the lower frequency things that come into relationships, like jealousy, fear of cheating, fear of all these kind of like minute things that could be in a relationship if there's no trust. If you are building your foundation on a relationship that's based on a common goal, one of the cements of trust is the fact that you both have a common goal, if that makes sense. It's not like you're dealing with a person that you don't know what's going on in their mind in a sense, because the foundation of the mindset is common. That makes sense. So yeah, I really enjoyed learning from that particular chapter and modeling after and wanting to model after Winnie Mandela and Nelson Mandela's relationship. Winnie Mandela was a super hard worker. When her husband was in prison, she kept the protests going. One of the conditions that Nelson Mandela had to be president was that Winnie Mandela was not allowed to run for presidency ever. That had to be a signed agreement because of how hard she was going when he was in prison. So, you know, couples like that.
While you're muted.
All right, my bad. Yeah, I wanted to read from 278. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
So I want to read it from 278 because it kind of like is about what everyone's been saying. So she says the Black King and the Black Queen must move in a tactical and strategic harmony with one another if they are to counter the white assault successfully and defend their side at the chessboard effectively. This harmony is particularly crucial if they are to checkmate the White King. So there you have it. Like, we have not so far been constructive together, like Black females and Black males. Like, there's so much disharmony between us. You know, we have totally become separated. We've allowed white supremacy and racism to separate us entirely to the point where like we're clowning each other, hating each other, abusing each other, and making memes about each other, and it's not constructive. And so if we're going to end white supremacy, it's going to take unity between the Black males and Black females first. Anyone want to share anything? Have to share?
Yeah, I wanted to say also, do you notice in society how a Black man or a Black woman, if they do sell each other out or say, comment on things that maybe necessarily do need to be spoken about, but talk about it in a public space, that it can be left to the scrutiny of like mass media that will basically turn it into a narrative of mad Black woman or angry, aggressive Black man. Like when Black women talk out against being molested, they'll often highlight the perversion of the man, but they won't talk about the fact that it's a disease that has been passed down in some way. If you know what I mean? Like I feel like people rise in the Black celebrities rise when you sell out your male female counterpart. And that's something we need to practice, like doing privately behind closed doors, like addressing our issues within the privacy of Black safe communal spaces.
I agree. I like how I love how you said that, Mary. I feel the same way. That's my idea of like what social media is just, you know, people like allowing white people and outside opinions to come in and like them to comment on, you know, we're witnessing Black people and Black men and Black female fighting constantly, and they're doing it in public. And now we have white people giving them a space to come in and comment on it. and
Yeah.
you know, so
Like this chapter has definitely like inspired me to continue like pursuing like therapy work, so I could do like black couples therapy, and at the same time, like like black couples therapy, just telling therapists, telling them about race and white supremacy and how they have to counter it to become healthy, and that's simple as that. So this chapter was really like eye opening because I agree that I really I saw like the female, like the black female, as like someone separate from myself, and you have to be like a total collective, as we like were before we're in this body. Like we are all gods, and being a god is having female soul and male soul, and that's what we all had before we were put into these bodies. So we have to remember that and know that we are one, So you don't have anything to share?
I just wanted to share the little part about the part where she shouted out Neely Fuller. I thought that was pretty cool. On the bottom of 280, the new answer to the black male / black female relationship dilemma is for the black male and black female to make serious conscious struggle against white supremacy their number one priority. Fortunately, Neely Fuller has written a textbook for victims of white supremacy, the United Independent Compensatory Code System concept, that details specific behaviors that the black male and black female must adopt in order to combat effectively the force that is driving them apart. Fuller suggests that the most critical question is how black males and black females spread their time, energy, how they use each of the 24 hours in the day. He recommends constructive conversation, constructive work, sufficient eating and sleeping, and sexual intercourse no more than twice a week. These suggestions deserve our full consideration. I'm just gonna go ahead and finish reading the whole thing out. If energy use was limited to just these activities by each black male and black female, certainly we would become more responsible towards ourselves as individuals, which would translate into more responsible interaction with one another. It is critical that we realize our present patterns of behavior permit white supremacy to exist. Let me read that one again because I had it highlighted. It is critical that we realize our present patterns of behavior permit white supremacy to exist. Directed radical change in black behavior, as suggested above, will alter permanently the face of white supremacy. Its victimization of the black male and the black female, and the destruction of black male / black female relationship. So if I like how she shouted out Neely Fuller. I don't know if we said it yet, but that's gonna be the next book we're reading. So her shouting him out like this, especially towards the end of her book, I feel like set it up perfectly. So she's basically telling us, if we can start doing some of those things that we're going to find in that book, we can basically, what's the word I'm looking for?
You change this thing overnight.
Yeah, change this thing overnight, guarantee our survival. There we go.
Yeah. So, please, I want to clip this. Please, attempt to join the book club. It requires dedication, but it's worthwhile. I think we could get
it's really like working out for your brain.
Yeah.
For the mind.
Yeah, I think we get into closing comments about this chapter.
I want to just start by saying it was good to have this information because all my life I have seen destructive relationships between black men and black women, and I've seen them blamed on lack of resources, lack of education. Not once have I ever seen it articulated in that as this black man and this black woman are treating each other so poorly because they're treated really poorly in a racist, white supremacist dominated society. So for me, reading this was really interesting and healing in a way, because I grew up. It took a long time for me to even think that Black women would want to be with me and want to be like my partner, because I grew up, thinking that I was the reject, the reject of the Black race. The black women that like me, Black guys think I was cool enough, so I was just a reject, thinking that. Little did I know, it was just white supremacy working well, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, like this is a chapter I have to like definitely read again, because like it's a manual in itself, just to understand that you have to totally be like working together, and that includes like compensation and compromise. And the system like trains us to be like white people. It trains us to be monsters and monstrosities, and that programming is really deep, and we're all breaking it, but it still requires a lot of work. So this chapter was really like powerful. I see like Black women in a like total different kind of like total different light now, like as like connected to like myself, like and like the male Black species, where we're just one, all in this blender together, and it's up to all of us to press a button to stop the blender, because it can't just be the Black males, or it can't just be the Black females. So it has to be like both of us, or we're gonna keep getting ate up. And that's my closing comments.
I'm just gonna say my closing comment was what I said earlier. Well, right before we start closing comment.
My closing comments are very similar to what Trey explained. First of all, Trey, you're one of the most desirable men I've come to know in my whole life. So don't let white supremacy ever fool you. Two, I grew up feeling the same way. I felt like I was like on the very bottom end of any form of attraction. And one thing towards Black males in particular as well, and all males, to be fair. And of course that messed with my head, but what that did is that I built up who I was as a person, and I focused on me a lot, and built up my personality, and I have one, which I'm very grateful for. But to conclude, the way that this chapter is blueprint, and I really thank Dr. Frances Cress Welsing for highlighting this and putting Dr. Winnie Mandela and Nelson Mandela in a chapter, and who deserve this glorification. Like I learned late on the kind of impact that they had together as a movement. I knew about Nelson Mandela, but not Winnie Mandela's contributions. And you do have to work you're like, even though separated, look what they were able to achieve with that focused mindset. So for my closing statements, I'm just going to read that particular line. People grow closer together as long as they remain focused outwardly in the same direction, maintaining a like-minded focus. Nelson and Mandela of South Africa have evolved possibly the strongest marriage known to Black people worldwide. And yeah, they deserve that throne acknowledgement, because look at what they've achieved right now in South Africa. The mindset of the mindset. I'm sure that there were so many more people, but they are literally the couple stronghold that people can look to and replicate, emulate. And we don't have many emulations that we can say actually make a movement and change in our lifetime. So I'm really grateful that Dr. Frances Cress Welsing highlighted this for us to continue to go look further into, research into, and model after as beings on this planet trying to achieve the same mission of ending white supremacy in our lifetime.
Yeah, very like powerful to I now like Nelson Mandela and Wendy Mandela are in my like mind forever. Prior to like reading, like I didn't even know like they had a bond. They had like exhibited that like level of deep self-respect and unity together, and that's like what we need. We need like to, if we are gonna glorify people and like look to people for examples, it should be the Nat Turners, It should be the Nelson Mandelas and Wendy Mandelas and Frances Cress Welsing and Amazon Wilsons, the people who really like were brave and telling people the truth and what needs to be done to solve this problem.
My closing comments is yeah, this chapter was really good, and I appreciated like everyone's comments because it made me think a lot about like my relationships, like, and like the type of behavior that's normalized between Black men and Black women. And I agree with what Trey and Mary said. I also grew up thinking that I didn't even think Black men could like me. I didn't even think that was a possibility. So I think we all get like programmed to really just believe the other person doesn't want us and therefore have this inferiority complex. And so, yeah, I just thought this chapter was really, really good. I also really liked that she highlighted Winnie and Nelson Mandela because they were like doing crazy shit, like just bombing buildings and stuff together. Like it's pretty like crazy, like and that they were separated but still had that like bond. And I think it's really important to understand like if we put relationships in the context of like ending white supremacy, it's not about all this like really stupid petty stuff that people fight about and almost glorify fighting about in relationships. It's really like when Ezekiel was reading that chapter or that section from Neely Fuller's book, like it is about really being serious and like connecting on that common goal and really being like soldiers, you know, like because like Trey was saying, we have to be the ones to fight and other people can have fun in other generations, unfortunately.
I want to like add to what Trey's comment earlier. Like, if you're a Black person, non-white person, unaware of racism, is just like an easy target. You know, as a person who's like, imagine going to war and you have no gun. You know, you have no armor. You have nothing. You don't even know you're at war. You could get dropped anytime, and that's how I've come to see like non-white people who are just really not serious about learning about racism and just. You know, who, you know, when it's in their face and when it's attacking them, they're like so confused and their demise is really tragic and it happens every single day. So, if no one has anything else to say, I could adjourn.